They are devout They devote their time to the worship of God. They pray to God. And then, these are the truthful ones. And these are the ones who are truly God-conscious, God-fearing. These are the muttaqun. These are truly the people who have taqwa. So brothers, I'd like you to reflect on this beautiful verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is really telling us that goodness and righteousness is not just about being formal. Okay? It's really telling us not to allow this deadening formalism to come into our deen and into our religion. Okay? Where we have rules 1 to 10, okay? And bylaws 10 to 15, and so on. Okay? That this is, the Quran is telling us our deen is far greater than that. This is more holistic. It is more comprehensive than that. It covers all aspects of our lives. We are passing through a very important week. This week is an election week, and I hope we too are thinking about politics, and we are thinking about our country. For me, this verse is telling me that as a Muslim, I cannot be smug, and I cannot feel happy, or I should not feel happy, just with my bowing and kneeling and with my prayers alone. My deen is far more than that, isn't it? What is the Quran telling us? It says the goodness is not that you face east and west. It is really these four things. When you have these four things in you, and you develop these four wonderful qualities, and you do these things, then truly you are truthful and sincere and genuine believer. You are truly muttaqun, those who are anointed and honored by God as being the muttaqun. Let's just reflect on them very quickly again. The first thing is having strong faith. Okay, that is bir, Allah said. That is goodness. You have this strong faith. But the next thing is وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَىٰ حُبِّهِ, to spend your wealth in the love of God, okay, for the good of others. SubhanAllah. What would you call this? This is social concern, isn't it? Being concerned about the welfare of others. What does it say? وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَىٰ حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَالسَّائِلِينَ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ. 6 types of people we are told we should take care of them. We should take care of the orphans, the needy. We should take care of those who have been enslaved or captives or are prisoners. Okay, all those categories would apply to that. Of course, our relatives and those who are in our neighborhood, we should take care of them. Isn't this very precisely what we call being concerned about our society? What we would perhaps call being a civic society and having organizations as individuals and as organizations who care for these different groups of vulnerable people, the weak people in our society. As the Quran is saying, in order to be a true believer, you have to be somebody who is engaged in the welfare of others. Not just concerned about your own well-being. Well, everybody's concerned about his own well-being. Animals are concerned about their well-being. Okay? What makes us human beings so unique and special is that we always consider others as well. We work for the benefit and the good of others. Sometimes when I use this word and I say this, I find it very difficult. As though I'm being a hypocrite myself, and we as a society and as a country, we as a nation are too really not concerned and considerate about the other. We have become very self-centered people, self-focused. And of course, governments play a huge role in that, don't they? Just look at what Margaret Thatcher did when she made that law about families. What it led to within a few months, or within a year or so, we had nearly 2 million single women. That is the power of governments. They're truthful. Some of us must don't recognize the power of governments, really. And this is, and we say, well, it's not our business. It's not our business because we sometimes feel it's a dirty business. I'll come to that in a minute, okay, about that. But let's just look at what Allah is telling us to do. Allah is saying that it is not goodness that you just face east or west, but the goodness is having strong belief. Now, belief is about reason and purpose and meaning. That is what Aqidah is all about. The fact that we believe in Allah, we believe in the hereafter, and we believe in Muhammad Rasulullah. That is our belief. That is the raison d'etre. That is the reason why we have to be good, why we worship, why we should be concerned about others. That is a powerful reason because God is our master. God is our goal. God is our be-all and end-all for us. God is the very center of our attentions. And God tells us that you can only come to me. I will only accept you when you show these things, when you show this social concern. And then it goes on to say that my believers are also people who are devout. Now this is really important. Devout means somebody who is worshipful. The word the Quran uses is وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ. Those who are firm and consistent and regular in establishing their prayer. That is what aqam salah is. They don't just pray once in a while. They are consistent in it. They are devout. They keep in touch with God. They have this ta'alluq billah. They are clinging and attached to their Lord as well. That's a very beautiful translation of ta'alluq billah. Clinging to God, attaching yourself to God through the prayer, through the establishing and regularly praying to God. This acts as a motivation. This acts as the energy. Okay? And of course, it keeps our compass in the right direction. Okay? Our compass in the direction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Quran tells us the fourth quality in these people. And that is, they are very patient people. Now, patient is normally, you would say patient is somebody who's very calm, composed, he can wait. He's not hasty about things. Okay? And then if people injure him, harm him in any form or shape, what does he do? He's willing to not to complain, not to act violently against, but in fact be composed and come up with a very good solution and take his time and think over. That's what it really means, sabit, and those who are able to do that. But here the Quran says there are three situations in which these people show their patience. Okay? One is when they themselves are harmed or injured. They will not react violently against it. And secondly, when there are serious social problems, they're able to deal with them. And thirdly, when it's at a national level or at a societal level, if there is a problem, there's a war, or there is pestilence or epidemic, they're able to control themselves. They are self-masters. They can regulate themselves. That is what it means. So I hope you can see, brothers, what wonderful qualities of those who do righteousness. And then, of course, the Quran tells us, you can never achieve goodness. You can never do the common good, the righteousness. You can never do it if you do not give the best of yourselves. Okay? That which you love the most, that which you desire yourselves, until you spend that for the good of others, you can never achieve righteousness. Brothers, our deen is all about self-sacrificing. It is about being committed to our own welfare, of course, comes once we make those sacrifices for the good of others. It is about sacrificing for the good of others. Now, some people, of course, will not agree with this, particularly the narrow-minded capitalists, okay? And even the extremist atheist socialists will perhaps not agree with that notion. But our religion demands from us that we should be people who put our responsibility first, not our rights first. Yes, we should stand up for our rights, but we should always take our responsibility first and foremost. We should look at the rights of others first. What do they deserve? Okay? That is what is self-sacrificing. That is what makes the believer, that is what makes the Muslim stand out. That is what makes it very special. And of course, you will say, well, that's very difficult to do. Putting the rights of others first, and then yourself. But that is the way that God wants us to do. That is the way of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Isn't it his way? Of course it is. If it wasn't, then Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have lived in great palaces. Yet we know that the hadith tells us that there were days when the Prophet and in his home, he could not light the fire because there was no food. There was no food. Yet he would be receiving thousands and thousands of dirhams and dinars every day. But it all would be spent out through the treasury for the welfare of the society. But he himself, there would be many days when he would not have food in his home, in his household. So, yes, this self-sacrificing spirit is really the very essence of our deen. I've written a few words because, as I said, we are passing through a very important period. This next 6 days are very important, I really think. And I want to urge everyone here to really vote. Okay? And that is because I believe it's one way of showing that Muslims are concerned. We are concerned for the welfare of all of our society. Okay? Not just for myself and for ourselves, but for the good of everyone. So I've written this, and you can get copies of this. Please do take it. The financial crisis, the recession, the MP's expenses scandal, and the Iraq war inquiry have severely dented the reputation of the Parliament. British voters have become even more sceptical of the integrity of our politicians. The trust in politics, in public institutions, and the leaders has been eroded. However, our faith teaches us to be always hopeful. The Quran says, "La ya'asu, never be hopeless, never go into that state of despair." Okay? Never despair of God's mercy. Have hope and avoid cynicism and despair. Politicians can help us by doing 3 things. 1, treat our voters as intelligent people and admit that our problems are indeed very deep. And should admit humbly and show that humility that we've not done it well in the past. We will try our best, but we might get it wrong again. We will make mistakes. That humility is really important. Secondly, stop the political spin. Less of this marketing. This is very important business. You are custodians of our country and our future and our security. And to give this to spin doctors is really, I think, playing with us. It's fooling us. But sadly, that is the way. And we've got to ask them and demand from them that they have to stop this spin doctrine. And thirdly, don't let the media muggles determine the outcome of this election. Don't let the Murdochs, don't let the newspapers determine, or the press, or anyone else. But you need to be more objective in what you tell us and be honest about what you tell us. If we don't do this, then sadly many people will brand politics as the dirty game, one from which we should keep distance. Haven't you heard this? Gandhi khel. Have you not heard this? It's a dirty game. It's a filthy game. But brothers, if you don't try to clean it up, if we don't take part in it, if we don't use that spirit of self-sacrifice, if we don't try to bring morals into it and goodness into it, then it will get filthier and filthier. We need to take part in it. Religious people, Muslims, Christians, Jews, everyone has to really put their time and effort into it. As Muslims, we cannot adopt an apathetic and casual attitude towards politics. Islamic teachings expect us to care about our society. I've just explained it very clearly in the light of that beautiful verse. Be involved in politics and work hard to influence decisions in our community. But of course, this is hard work. It requires time. And perhaps that is the problem. We used to be getting things easy. We must take part. I really do urge more of our young people to take part in politics. Take part in your councils. This positive attitude to politics will empower us. It will make Muslims feel responsible for their society, which at the moment sometimes we don't feel like that because we are not given the opportunities as well. The mainstream agencies, mainstream sometimes ignores us, really does, and looks down upon us. There is a lot of Islamophobia, we know that. But the way to tackle that is not to ghettoize ourselves. It is not to hide, but in fact to look in the eyes and challenge such discriminations and such unfairness. We will then have little to blame our politicians for when things go wrong if we take part in it. In our mature British democracy, every citizen, every Muslim has a say, from how much money is spent on the NHS, how much money is spent on schools, and why and when, and should we go to war or not. Remember, some of the most important decisions that affect our world today are made by the politicians, don't they? They severely affect. They can affect our environment severely. They can affect our education, our health service. They can affect our faith as well, brothers, if we don't care about it. And the point is, we Muslims must become caring people. We must not be cynical. There is a lot to be cynical about, yes, but I think that is where we have to say, this is too important to be cynical about. It's time for us to actually help and mold our politicians as well. This will make our politicians feel responsible and answerable that people are involved. I sometimes feel completely irresponsible when I see that people are not involved in some of the projects that I'm talking about, which they will then die themselves. When I see nobody's paying attention, nobody's really concerned about it, what happens? My interest fades away, staff's interest fades away, and eventually the project dies away. And that is because you aren't concerned. People aren't concerned. And this is why it's so important to have this feedback and this whole idea of shu'ur, of appreciating, valuing, and being critical about things is so important, really. And our politicians are exactly like that. They'll be, they'll love to have this, that nobody takes care, nobody takes interest. Then they can do what they want to. But I'm sure many of them are there because they want to bring about a change. They want to do good for us. And therefore, our job is to be critical friends of them. We need to be there to actually ask them that they are accountable, they are answerable to us. Our faith can guide us to help our politicians make the right decisions. Let us all ask ourselves three important questions. These three questions are, I think, very important for us. One is, can we continue to allow unfettered, uncontrolled capitalism to continue? This is what has caused the disasters in our financial system. This greed, that's what it is at the bottom of it. Greed, interest, and greed. Okay? Self-interest of bankers, self-interest of private companies. Can we allow this to happen unregulated? Therefore, we demand that there should be more regulations for this. Secondly, is the relentless pursuit of material wealth and economic growth right? And how long can we continue with that? We need to question that. Do we have to have this economic growth like this? Is there a better way? Should we become people who are more careful about how we spend, how we use things, how we consume, really? We need to learn this new art. And art actually is not new, it's the art of what is known as Faqr Muhammadi, the Prophet ﷺ's way of living, of austerity, of frugality, of simplicity. The simple method of Muhammad ﷺ, the simple lifestyle of Rasulullah ﷺ. And thirdly, what would a fairer, earthly, friendly economic system look like? And I think that would be a very important question. And I think our politicians really, from my point of view, and I hope you Muslims will support me on this, and this is how we would want to see our politics, moving forward. And inshallah, Aziz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to do the righteousness, the al-bir, the goodness, the common good that will benefit us and benefit our society and our world. Wa akhiru da'wana, and alhamdulillah.